Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another week of racing here with us at Delta Racing League. My name is Matt McAdams, bringing you the action here from the commentator's booth. And it is an exciting evening this Sunday evening because we kick off the first race of Season 12 here at Delta Racing League, and we will be starting at Monza. Of all of the tracks to pick the first race to be on, it is, of course, going to be Monza with 41 cars showing up to practice. Maybe even more so during qualifying. We will see just how out of hand things get. Turn 1 is almost certainly going to be a bloodbath, but we are just now finished up with practice, and it does seem to be the case that we went from dry practice to wet qualifying. So give me just 1 second here to get the car or the cameras over track side, and we will kick off what is sure to be an interesting race. As we can see already, it is looking like it is going to be. So let's do that, and boom. We'll get our eyes over on Ben Burchett getting ready to start his qualifying lap. As you can see, it is gonna be a wet one out there, folks. Trying to get my other computer set up. It had a little bit of a last minute crash as I was trying to get going, so I'm trying to do two things at once here. But cars are starting to take to the track. Ben Burchett's out there. Looks like Jean Casagina is going to be the first one out on the track, though. Oop. Man, I did that out of order. Oh, boy. Okay, we'll join Bill. We'll get the second camera going here in just a moment. But yeah, it is going to be an interesting season. We have over 50 signups. We'll see how many of those we get today. Right now, it looks like 41 drivers are the number that have showed up. We've got a little bit of a pack here. A couple of familiar names. Javier Miranda, one of the regulars here at Delta Racing League. I'm still trying to get some things set up here. Bear with me, folks. I'm also going to apologize ahead of time. I'm getting over a pretty bad bout of the flu. So if I sound a little stuffy, a little lower energy than usual, that's my out for the day. Almost got the other camera set up. But let's take a look over at John Casagina as he gets ready to start the first hot lap of qualifying. And hot is maybe relative, seeing as the track is going to be nice and cold and wet for these drivers. And here we come now down into turn 1. The famous or infamous, depending on your opinion, turn 1 here at Monza. If you've ever raced in a public lobby in Assetto Corsa, you'll know why it's infamous. Because it can be a little bit dicey. Now around Curva Grande, keeping things nice and composed. John Casagina, one of the faster drivers here at Delta. So we will see what he's able to pull off here. Almost have the other computer ready to go. There we are. Now coming through Ascari. I promise I'm almost done spacing out a little bit here. And as he rounds Parabolica, we will soon have a glimpse at our first qualifying lap, and it is sure to be a quick one out of Casagina. Did it not count it? It may have been invalid. but nonetheless, a 156 was the time out of Casagina. It looks like the most of the field is still trying to work on those laps, but we have the first fast lap across the line is going to be from James Morris with a 158.0. Matthias Martinez here with a 156, and Gage Gonzalez, a new name for me, with a 156.365 as the time to beat. Looks like those are the only valid laps so far. Let me throw up personal bests here. There we go. So we can see who all has set a lap. Skylar Loverink, currently 2/10 up on this qualifying lap, set a 157.142 as their personal best. We also have Ross Sparrow sneaking in with a 157.117. And Jose Este with a 158.69. Aiden Hasselbrock with a 158.4. Starting to see some times coming across now. Santiago Pena getting ready to start his lap. Gage Gonzalez still sitting pretty comfortably up at the top, has just shy of a 1/10 gap to second place, Matthias Martinez. All right, everything's squared away now. Okay, and we just as I say that, a new fastest lap out of Xu Chen with a 156.202 being this time to beat. But let's take a look over at Skylar Loverink, currently 1.2 seconds on the Delta. Where is he on the track? Getting ready to come up into Parabolica, and that is a purple border, which means it is on pace to be the fastest of the session. And that'd actually be a monstrous lap. Going to be well into the 156 territory, maybe looking at the first 155 of this wet qualifying session. We will know shortly as he crosses the line with a 155.585 as the new time to beat, and that is a massive lap. Well, there's going to be a 7/10 difference between first and second place now. Excuse me. A tickle in my throat. Dylan Brick returning name here to Delta Racing League. Let's see, is he driving a Porsche again? No, he is not. He is in the Audi this season. Currently 1 second up on his personal best. We got an update from one of the drivers. This rain is vile. Turn 1, no one making it out. If it's wet like this during the race, it is going to be interesting to say the least. Dylan Brick rounding Parabolica with a 1.3 second up on his personal best. Will cross the line, securing that time with a 157.600 and will maintain 15th place. Speaking of improving on lap times, Kenneth Smith exiting the... wow, I've forgotten my turn names. That's embarrassing. Coming into Ascari now in the Pan Am 720 McLaren. Currently 1.3 seconds up at the exit of Ascari there. Now down the back straight into Parabolica. And a new fastest lap from another familiar name, Zach Doran, a 155.385. Boxing out Skylar Loverink by just 0.2 of a second. We now have 3 lap times in the 155s. John Casagina joining them with a 55.737. to secure 3rd place. And Kenneth Smith now wrapping up this lap, crosses the line with a 156.855, moving them up into 12th place. Also take a look over at Ben Burchett, almost a second up, now 1 second in the Delta. Entering the first Lesmo. Racing a BMW. Just a little bit out of the norm from his normal Porsche. Engine's on the opposite side of the car, but he seems to be handling it all right. And he's got Casagina right behind him to keep him honest. Pushing down the straight now into Ascari soon. Now over a second and a half at the exit of Parabolica. Now just 1 straight to go, and we will see what this lap time is. Crosses the line with a 155.652, joining the 155s, moving himself up into 4th place. Xu Chen looks like entering the 2nd chicane now. No, that can't be right. No, that's Ascari. Ooh, and a BMW parked there on the outside. Currently with a purple border, looking at setting the fastest lap of the session. Will also be his first valid lap, it looks like. Or no, that's showing last lap, not best lap. Excuse me, I don't have my GUI configured correctly. Let me fix that. Matthias Martinez crosses with a 55. Oh my goodness, the quick laps just keep coming out, but Xu Chen still has that purple border. 2 seconds up on his previous best. Will set a 154.242. Now the 3rd car in the 154 range with an absolutely blistering time out of that Lamborghini. And that is certainly not surprising, but it sure is impressive. Looking like Casagina may have an answer to that with a 1.2 second improvement on his personal best. Let's see if he can hang on to that. Will not be enough for first place at the moment, but will certainly put him on the podium. A good exit from Ascari, now just Parabolica to go. Oh, and he will cross the line with a 154.137 and will secure fastest lap of the session with just seconds left on the clock and will grab first place. It looks like he's not settling for that though. Finds a quarter second in the first turn and sheds it away, but Skylar Leverink, may have gone just a little bit wide there, but it looks like it's still valid at the exit of the second Lesmo. Now down the back straight into Ascari, looking to hang on to that lap. Currently, looks like he is in contention for fastest lap, but right now Daniel Good with 8/10 up on his personal best. They're going to be trading positions here. Hold on, I've got exactly the setup for just this kind of occasion. We'll watch the two of them as they race around, trying to set fastest lap of the session. Right now, it looks like advantage Daniel Good. It is going to be close, folks. But Skylar Leverink on the big screen right now is going to be the one to watch. Almost a second up on their personal best. Can they secure a 153? It's looking like they will. And we will have our answer in just seconds as he crosses the line with a 153.747. An absolutely blistering time out of the Ferrari driver. And Daniel Good crosses the line with a 153.86, the second 153, but unfortunately just a couple hundredths of a second behind first place Skylar Leverink. Got it. Update the chat. I guess John Sebastian doesn't need sleep since he's racing at 2 a.m. France time. You are not wrong about that. But as I say that, I see the purple border light up and he crosses the line and secures second place. Just 2/100ths of a second off of first place with a 153.767. James Morris looking to set a PB here and nets himself a top 10 finish with a 155.087 at the last second. My goodness, folks, what a qualifying session that was. I'm going to wait until the session flips over so that I can not get kicked out. But here is going to be our starting grid. Again, congratulations to Skylar Leverink with that insane qualifying lap, netting him first place, John Casagina in second, and Daniel Good in third. But as I like to do with all of our race starts, I like to take an opportunity to hop over into the free cam and take a look at what our drivers have done. We, again, always allow custom liveries here at Delta Racing League. And so I like to take this opportunity to kind of walk up the grid, take a look at everybody's handiwork, as it were, and look at all of these cars. Drivers spend almost as much time setting these liveries up as they do practicing out on the track. In some cases, it's a little one more than the other. But the end product is pretty magnificent, looking at all of these custom painted cars. That one's almost Fennec black. You like to see that. Couple Schumi skins representing here. Love the Mystery Machine McLaren, or excuse me, that's not a McLaren. I'm just dumb. Ferrari. But look at this grid, ladies and gentlemen. It is absolutely packed, so I have to ask the question again, how many people are going to survive turn one? At least the weather has cleared up. It's a nice sunny day here in Italy, and hopefully that's going to lead to some clean racing. Got a minute and a half until we start our formation lap. How's everybody feeling? How's everybody feeling about that? Was a strong qualifying session. A lot of very, very competitive times from all the drivers. Certainly has me excited for the race. Of course, we'll have to see how long the race lasts going into turn one. It will definitely be interesting to see what becomes of it. Another thing I want to draw your attention to, let's go ahead and look at the manufacturers. We've got a good spread of cars. We've got everything from Ferraris. We've got tons of Porsches out there, a couple of Ferraris. I see an Aston Martin in there. Shu Chen, as always, driving his Lamborghini. Take a look farther back in the grid here. You see a couple of Audis in the mix, a BMW is on the track. But here's the crazy thing. The last car in the grid is car number 41. We've got 41 cars starting this grid at Monza, which means it is going to be a bloodbath, whether the drivers want it to be or not. It is going to require the utmost self-control to have this race go more than one lap. So I certainly have my fingers crossed, because race starts tend to be a little bit dicey. But I believe in our drivers. Let's all say a silent prayer here for our drivers, just hoping that we can get this race going with as little bloodshed as possible. There's probably definitely 100% going to be some bloodshed, but just as little as possible. Would that be great? But now the cars are off the jacks. We can see now Skylar Lovering going to start the formation lap for us. Look at that view, ladies and gentlemen. That is not something you get to see often. Is this many cars lined up on the grid? Look at that shot. There's cars all the way down the straight. Of course, we'll get another great shot here as we come around Curva Grande. Timothy Timothy, good night to you as well, my friend. Don't mind me just getting some things set up here for the beginning of the race. Trying to get cameras in as many places as I can. So we hopefully have some shot at being able to keep track of what everybody is doing. Got a camera in the back, camera at the front. Hopefully we'll be able to catch any action that befalls us. And I will most certainly be reviewing some replays after the first lap of that, I have no doubt. I couldn't agree with you more, friend. This is going to be an exciting one for sure. Hopefully, it's a clean one, but we'll see how we do. But as I say that, the drivers are lining up double file, getting ready to round Parabolica here, and look at that lineup of cars, ladies and gentlemen. Let's flip us over to the double view here as we get ready to start this race. I want to say a big thank you to everybody who's joined us. Thank you to Delta Racing League for having me back for another very exciting season. I am sure it will be. I'm looking forward to this race, man. Monza on day one of season 12 with 41 cars. I got to reiterate that. 41 cars. This is going to be absolute insanity, and I am very much looking forward to it. What a way to kick off this season. Some beautiful weather here in Italy, but that is going to do it for me. Now we just wait for the green light, the green flag to drop, and this race will be underway. Jean Casagina will be the one to start it off, but it looks like a good start from Skylar Loverink, but the Porsche driver out in front. As they storm down the straight, here we go, the green flag waving, and look at all of those cars as we race down into the first corner. The question is, oh, and there's already blood. Troy Gutter is involved in the entire back half of the field. Oh no. Oh, that's not good. We're gonna keep our eyes on the start of the race here. It looks like the majority of the field getting through there somewhat freely. And they're still trying to sort things out there in the back of the field. Let's take a look up the grid a little bit if I can get the cameras there. Okay, looks like the rest of the field is starting to go. Oh man, okay, so the answer is only half the field made it through turn 1. Oh no. But the rest of the race is underway. I'll keep you updated on what the rest of the field is doing right now. It looks like Casagina beginning to pull a gap to second place, followed by Shu Chen and Skylar Leverink for P2 and 3. And the rest of the grid, some of them still double file, rounding the second Lesmo now. Chris Rise in a bit of a pinch. It is still bumper to bumper single file. We can see the cars jumping around on the track, and yet somehow the drivers are still maintaining control of the cars, mostly as they race down into Ascari. Let's watch Casagina take it with Shu Chen just behind him. Nice cut of the apex there, keeping it nice and tidy. And it looks like he's going to keep things clean through the exit of Ascari. There are race leaders keeping things nice and composed. Let's check in on the middle pack here. Still looking nice and clean, but it is still almost double file through the majority of the pack. Let's watch Luis Valdez from the helicopter racing down the straight, but let's take a look here. We go double file through Parabolica. We're looking at the race for 10th place here. There's almost too much to keep track of. But they're keeping it. Looks like Austin Carpenter and Jeff Spangler side by side racing down the front straight into turn 1. But the speed from the McLaren is just beating the Porsche. That flatline speed from the Porsche hurting it a little bit going into the first chicane. Here we go. Take 2. Let's see if we do it any better this time. Oh, and we've got a McLaren shoots off into the runoff. May have missed that braking marker. We've got another Audi there, cutting the inside. Looks like styrofoam's already being spewed across the track. Ooh, and Shu Chen with a dive up the inside there on Casagina. Looks like he's able to make it stick and moves himself up into first place. Casagina's locking in on the back end there. We've got a yellow flag. Chris Rise, it looks like. Not sure why it said it was a yellow flag, but it looks like he's still going around. Must have just been some contact that slowed him down. But look at that, the majority of the field still single file in a line racing down this straight. Ross Sparrow starting to apply some pressure to James Morris. Just a half second between the two of them as they race around Ascari. Now down the back straight. We'll keep the other camera over there on our race leaders. Newest fastest lap of the session going to come from Jean Casagina, immediately taken away by Skylar Leverink with a 149.115. We've got some battling going on here between Austin Carpenter and Jeff Spangler. There's our track map. Not sure why that wasn't showing, but there we go. James Morris might get taken here, it looks like. No, Ross Sparrow trying on the outside. He's chasing him down. Let's see if he's able to make it stick. And it looks like he's going to slot in behind him going into the second chicane. Probably a wise decision there. And it looks like our race leaders, Shu Chen, Jean Casagina, and Skylar Leverink beginning to start to pull a gap to the rest of the pack there. As we can see, Gage Gonzalez gains a position on Aiden Hasselbrock. Rounding the second Lesmo, Zach Dorn really applying some pressure to Ross Sparrow out in front of him, but he's got Matthias Martinez in that McLaren glued to his rear bumper. And there is just too much for me to be keeping track of, ladies and gentlemen. There are battles everywhere on the grid. I'm doing my best to get us to all of them. Let's look at the middle of the pack here. Evan Toth currently under pressure by Jose Este and Rob Jacques going into Ascari in the Mystery Machine Ferrari. Good exit out of Ascari. Now rounding Parabolica, Matias Martinez has Zach Doran right on his inside. It is going to be a drag race down the front straight. But we've seen this unfold, and there's contact, huge contact between Zach Doran and Austin Carpenter. Takes them both out. Ooh, and two narrowly avoid the collision, but one is into the wall trying to get around them, and there's more carnage. More cars getting collected. Austin Carpenter back into the wall, and more people are getting collected. This just continues to get worse for everybody involved. Oh no, and there's more carnage. Oh God. Oh, this is not good. This is not good at all. Let's see if Ryan Garrity will be able to get around it. Looks like he does. Oh, the stewards are not gonna have a fun time with this one, ladies and gentlemen. If this was real life motorsport there, that'd have been a red flag almost right away. That's actually probably our second one now. Evan Toth still trying to fend off Andrew Sear, another returning name here at Delta Racing League. Ooh, and he is side by side. Oops, went a little bit too far there. Let me get us back over to that battle. Excuse me, folks. Xu Chen setting another fastest lap of the session, now peaking into the 148s. Let's look at Ben Burchett and Gage Gonzalez racing down the front straight to turn one. It looks like the McLaren's starting to catch him a little bit, but he is keeping that Lexus out in front now into the first chicane. When it is going to be close, they're going to race down into the second chicane. It looks like it is going to be Ben's turn. Yep, he gets there first. McLaren slots in behind him. Got a lot of cars in the pits right now. Andrew Sear, Austin Carpenter, Dylan Brick, Juan Pareto, and Rob Jacques and David Bartlett, excuse me, are in the pits now. Oh, and we've got a little bit of contact, it looks like, just behind there between Santiago Pena and Aiden Hasselbrock. Aiden Hasselbrock off into the wall. I suppose some good news for the drivers. There is a mandatory pit, but there is no pit window. So a lot of these drivers just going to be serving that mandatory pit stop early, it looks like. Take a look over here at Marc-Andre Melancon, trying to chase down Luis Velez. The fastest lap out of the session. It's actually tied for his previous best. Ooh, and it's going to be close out of the exit of Parabolica. Let's see who's got the legs here. Audi's going to go for the jump on the outside, and I think he's got it. That's the move done there by Marc-Andre. People braking real early going into turn one now. Let's go ahead and take a look at the position delta now that we're a couple laps into this race. And we can see there's already a lot of mobility on the board. Xu Chen up 3 positions, the next 3 down 1. Aiden Hasselbrock down 5, got a couple people up several. Gibran Stadier up 17. Ooh, and a big move there by Aiden Hasselbrock, and Lesmo 1 goes too wide with the AMG of Jeff Spangler. They're gonna go too wide through Lesmo 2. It looks like the Porsche out wide, almost loses the back end, but he manages to snap it back in. Jeff Spangler out in front now. Ooh, Marc-Andre and Aiden Hasselbrock now side by side exiting Ascari. That is dangerous. It looks like Marc-Andre gonna run wide there. McLaren gets up his inside and they're still shuffling, trying to figure out what side of the road they want to be on as they race down Parabolica. Here we go now. Oh, almost contact with the McLaren and the Porsche. Somehow they managed not to as we're going 4 cars through Parabolica. The McLaren left out hung to dry. That Porsche looking for a way back out onto the track. Looks like he finds it. Now it is going to be a race down into turn 1 here. Ooh, and that Porsche exiting the pit lane at a bad time there. It looks like the Audi driver, Marc-Andre, going to have to take the runoff. Probably going to want to give those positions back unless he's going to pick up a penalty for it. Yeah, we can see the Porsche driver behind him there, Aiden Hasselbrock, not happy about that. Ooh, and Aiden Hasselbrock out into the dirt. He is having a rough race today. Yeah, Curva Grande can be tricky on that outside line. That has just proven to be so there, unfortunately, for Aiden Hasselbrock. We've got a battle for 4th place beginning to emerge here. Ben Burchett and Gage Gonzalez within a 10th of one another, almost too wide coming into Ascari. Lexus on the inside is going to have the better line, but the McLaren shoving his way up the inside, but they're almost wheel to wheel on the exit of Ascari. McLaren out wide, but that is the move made. And Gage Gonzalez moves himself up into 4th place. Now Jean Casagina makes a move on Ben Burchett. And that's the move made. Now down into turn 1, Jean Casagina looking to the outside, McLaren on the inside. Gage Gonzalez really doing what he can to defend that apex. Casagina goes for the move anyways, now too wide. Looks like he might get it. Let's see what the McLaren does. McLaren can get the power down, out too wide. Now he's got Ben Burchett. He's gonna race him around Curva Grande. Ooh, it'll be close here, folks. Now they're gonna come down into the 2nd chicane. It will be too wide unless Ben backs out. And here it is, they'll try it too wide. McLaren on the inside, Lexus gets a good exit. The McLaren has to check up on the brakes to prevent an accident there, and that's an excellent move there by Ben Burchett. Let's take a look over at James Morris now, trying to chase down Santiago Pena, or Pena? Pena? I don't see the N-Y, so I think it must be Pena. But it's gonna be a yellow flag on the outside there on Lesmo too. A little bit of oversteer, but manages not to spin the car. Jeff Spangler now starting to apply some pressure to Santiago Pena. Ooh, looks to the inside, might be going for a bit of a slingshot into Ascari. He's got the inside line. Let's see if he can hang on to it. Jumps over the sausage curbs and makes the move happen. That is some excellent driving there from Jeff Spangler. We've come to expect. Runs a little wide. May have picked up a warning there. We'll see. Domenico Bilotti here, looking for a run on Luis Velez. And he's gonna slot in behind him. Thinks better of that move, which could have been dicey. Marc-Andre Melencon. Good move there on Santiago Pena. Gage Gonzalez and Ben Burchett are at it now in the battle for 5th place. Good exit there from Ben Burchett. We've been seeing he's been performing pretty well there at the exit of that second chicane. It's his second maneuver there where he's just gained ground on the car chasing him. Now on board with Gage Gonzalez. You can almost go and get yourself a drink while you're waiting for them to get to Parabolica, but here it is. Ooh, he's gaining ground just a little bit, but that Lexus is elusive. Looks like he's getting away from him. Ooh, and it does look like Gage Gonzalez gaining 2/10 on Ben Burchett on that last lap. Now into turn 1. It looks like they're keeping it mostly composed, so let's look at the battle here behind Santiago Pena. That Aston on the outside really wants to turn in, but sees the other car there. There's some driver paying attention, or there's a driver paying attention to his surroundings. Love to see that, but now he's got Luis Velez right up his chuff, trying to get around him on Curva Grande. Ooh, got a little bit unstable there on the outside, but he keeps it going. Yellow flag for Xu Chen. Oh, Xu Chen's in the wall. What happened? Hold on, it looks like race leader Xu Chen is stuck in the wall and his alignment's out. What happened there? I'm gonna go pull up the replay on the other computer and see what happened there, because that is a big upset. Oh, and my thing was lagging. There we go. And Xu Chen has retired from the race. Give me 1 second here, folks. I'm going to try and sort out what happened there. All right, here we are on the replay here, watching Xu Chen exiting Ascari. Looks like he runs out a little bit wide. Oh, and there's an accident in front of him, and he gets collected in it. That is an unfortunate way to end his race. Oh, and we've got a car facing sideways there. That's gonna be who is that? Didn't give me a yellow flag on them. That is strange. Man, and the straight line speed of the Aston apparently beats that of the BMW, as we see Domenico Bellotti making a pretty easy work of the number 96 BMW there, Santiago Pena. Man, just looking around the field, it doesn't look like anybody has escaped the wrath of Monza. It looks like almost every car has got a little bit of aero damage at this point, with only a few not having scrapes. Let's take a look over at Andrew Sear chasing down the number 912 car. It looks like we are now down to 38 cars on the track. Andrew Sear really applying the pressure coming around Parabolica. He is right there with the Porsche. Now let's see which of these two has more straight line speed. This will be the answer. Both of them getting a good exit, but it does look like the Porsche staying out in front of Andrew Sear. And that's how it's going to go into turn one. Andrew Sear exercising a bit of patience there rather than forcing a pass that's probably not going to go super well for him. Jeff Spangler under a little bit of pressure now from Marc-Andre Melancon. All right, we've got right now race leader Skylar Loverink looking to get around some lapsed traffic, and after Xu Chen's unfortunate mishap there, I'm not going to take an opportunity to look away from race leaders passing blue flags. In the last case, I don't think there's really too much either driver could have done about that. Looks like he gets through just fine. About halfway through the race, and it looks like about half the grid has served their pit stop, so we will definitely see the grid tighten up here in a little bit once the second half of the field has served their mandatory pit stop. We're coming up on the halfway mark here soon, so we should start to see those pit strategies play a factor here. And a great exit there by the Audi driver, goes into the back of the AMG, it looks like, and just narrowly avoids spinning them both out. Ooh, Casagina going for a very Zach Doran going for quite the dive there, and Parabolica's narrowly managing to hang on to grip there, as we can see Xu Chen, or excuse me, that's not Xu Chen. Who's that? That's weird. Who was that? Oh no, Shu Chen is still here. He just teleported back to pits earlier, so he is back into the pits now. Oh, and there's contact between Zach Doran and Matthias Martinez, it looks like. No, that can't be right. That was Jade Russell, excuse me. Again, we've got people who have pit and people who haven't, and lapped traffic, and I'm struggling to keep track of it all. I'm really trying my hardest, though. I'm sorry, this is hard. Jose Este and Gibran Stadier getting pretty close to one another, rounding Parabolica now. And we actually have a Nissan on the track. That's something I haven't seen in a little while. And several more people choosing to serve their pit stops. Gage Gonzalez, Domenico Bellotti, and Kenneth Smith are in there. Ooh, we've got a yellow flag here. It looks like Aaron Sear, brother for Andrew Sear, in the wall at Ascari, and is going to have it towed back to the pits. Chris Rive going for a move on Paul LeBlanc and makes the move happen. Nico Roscosh and Evan Toth getting pretty close now. A half second between the two. Mystery Machine versus the Skidmarks Mercedes. Ooh, and a good run of it by Evan Toth. Gains about a quarter second on the car in front when he's got his blinker on. But careful, that could mean anything. Now into the Lesmos here. The Ferrari showing that that mid-engined nimbleness. Let's take a look at a little bit farther back in the grid. Daniel Good under some pressure here from Jean Casagina coming into the second chicane. Both drivers have pit here, so everybody on the same lap. Race leader, Skylar Loverink, into the pits now. Oh my goodness, and John Casagina not giving that McLaren any room to breathe. And now they are catching up to Stubby McNubby. John Casagina turns across the McLaren, somehow finds room to do it, and gets around Daniel Good. Drama-free. Not an easy place to pass. There is the halfway mark call. 30 minutes in. Seems like it's been seconds. And it looks like Evan Toth makes a pass on Nico Roscosh through turn one. It's going to be close, but Casagina on the inside's got the speed advantage. Ooh, and the first penalty for track limits is handed out to the number 202 car. That is going to be Paul LeBlanc. Ooh, and Stubby McNubby goes off wide in Lesmo 1, loses control of the Aston. Is going to get passed by the two cars around him. Ryan Garrity coming back on the track there after his pit stop. Andrew Sear really applying some pressure here. Most of the field has served their mandatory pit stops, it looks like. Evan Toth and Marc-Andre Melencon into the pits. Ooh, and a good move there by the Porsche driver. Fends off the McLaren for another lap. Let's take a break from that battle. Take a look over at the battle between Daniel Good and Gage Gonzalez for 8th place. Does look like Daniel Good may be pulling away a little bit on that last lap. Almost 4/10 of a advantage there, but Gage Gonzalez closing that down now to just a quarter second in Ascari. And now it is a drag race to Parabolica, and Gage Gonzalez will almost certainly be getting the draft. Ben Burchett, Nico Roscosh, Ross Sparrow, and Jeff Spangler all into the pits now. And I believe they are the last ones. Ben Burchett on his way out right now. There we see him in the green Lexus. And Daniel Good with a move on the inside. May have just gotten himself 3rd place. It looks like he has. It was just the last one to back out there. And we've got a side-by-side drag race down the front straight as well between Marc-Andre Melencon and Domenico Bellotti. And 1 lap remaining for the number 202 car to serve that drive-through penalty. Gonna have to get that taken care of or it's gonna turn into a much worse penalty for him. Chris Rise and Evan Toth pretty close together going into the second chicane. Looked like Chris Rise was going to try something on the inside, thinks better of it. Ooh, and this battle for 3rd place is getting close between Daniel Good and Gage Gonzalez. You know, just a quarter second separate them as they charge down the front straight. Ooh, into turn one. Daniel Good on the inside. Almost. I was gonna say something that wasn't true. I was gonna say almost pushing off Gage Gonzalez, but that wasn't true. That was just very close between the two of them. But Daniel Good out in front is going to hang on to third place for now. All right, the 202 car now into the pits to serve that drive-through penalty. Chris Rise and Evan Toth getting close again, going into turn one. Evan Toth starting to grow a bit of a gap to 14th place. So let's take a look at Gage Gonzalez and Daniel Good still duking it out for third place. And Shu Chen sets the new fastest lap of the session. I believe that is the third time he has set the exact same lap time. And something I think that is worth noting, I don't want to take our eyes off this battle for third, so I'll do this. Shu Chen is getting ready to unlap himself from Skylar Loverink in first place. Now, granted, he is in 34th place, so he's got a lot of work to do, but he is about to unlap himself, which is very impressive. Ooh, and that rear McLaren gets unsettled. Gage Gonzalez is going to lose some time from that, but he does manage to keep the car going straight. So while we can, let's take a look at this. Skylar Levering currently sitting in P1, and in just a moment, there is Shu Chen right behind him. And looking at their last laps here, Shu Chen a half second faster. We may actually see a pass here in the near future. I'll keep my eyes on that for sure, but Gage Gonzalez he is caught right back up to Daniel Good. Let's see what these last laps look like as they cross the checkered line there. And is actually advantaged Daniel Good in third place by just a couple tenths of a second. Take a look at the battle for 9th place here between Marc-Andre Melangon and Domenico Bellotti. Ooh, good exit there from the Audi driver, and that is going to be a position gain for Marc-Andre. Now inside the 20-minute mark. 2/3 of this race are over. And there are still a couple of very, very close battles for position. One of them we're watching here for 9th place between Marc-Andre Melancon and Domenico Bellotti. I'm going to throw this up on the picture-in-picture here because we can see Xu Chen getting even closer to race leader Skylar Leverink. Let's take a look over here. We've got another close battle between, looks like Chris Rise, Evan Toth, and Matthias Martinez here, rounding Parabolica. Ooh, Matthias Martinez really close on the inside there. They're going to be side by side by the exit. But I do believe it is advantage Audi here in the straight line speed here. We see out the McLaren slotting in behind to get the draft advantage down the straight. Keep himself as close as possible. Now Xu Chen and Skylar Leverink entering some traffic here. And Matthias Martinez making a monstrous move there in the first chicane and netting himself a position. Let's take a look up at Jeff Spangler chasing down Ross Sparrow now. Xu Chen getting held up a little bit, looking for a way around this Porsche. And now he is blue flagged in this case, I am pretty sure. So the Porsche is not obligated to yield anything to him, but he does make the move happen there. Ooh! And almost misses his braking marker there. Not sure what happened there, but he's going to make his way back out onto the track. It looks like Skylar Leverink will get around him. There it is. And he gets back on the gas in Curva Grande. Ooh, and they almost touched there. The Audi has to steer a little bit to the right there to avoid a worse collision. But that is the move made there by Jeff Spangler. That's almost the only way you can pass in that first chicane, so well done there. Kenneth Smith under some pressure by Evan Toth. As we see Evan Toth go for a lunge on the inside into turn one and gets around him. And that was on the straight, excuse me. Ferrari quite a bit quicker in a straight line. And gets around the BMW as well. Ooh, and two McLarens very close to one another. That is Kenneth Smith and Matthias Martinez there. Almost nose to butt there, and Matthias Martinez gets the pass on the outside there in Curva Grande. Now through the first Lesmo. Everybody keeping things nice and tidy. And Evan in the Ferrari not quite able to get out in front of the McLaren through the twisty bit of the track. He's going to be looking for a good exit out of Ascari here. Try and lose him before Parabolica. Where'd Evan Toth go? Yellow flag on Evan Toth. He disappears in between cameras. Must have gone off wide in Ascari. Not what he was looking for. Let's take a look just a couple of cars back. Ryan Garrity and Jose Este getting pretty close to one another. Now 3/10 separate the two cars. going to be a drag race between Porsches here. Between Jose Este and Ryan Garrity. It is going to be very close as they are nearly side by side entering the first chicane there. Right, ooh, who's gonna get the advantage here? It's still very, very close. Porsche on the outside runs it out wide into the dirt. And that is going to leave Ryan Garrity with a pretty clean getaway there. Let's take a look over at Ross Sparrow chasing down Jeff Spangler. Ooh, and a yellow flag for Ben Burchett up in Parabolica. We'll get a look at that here in just a moment. Let's see, it looks like he's gotten going before the cameras got caught up to him, but we can see him there in the green Lexus out in front. Oh, it looks like we have a yellow flag. The 131 car of Javier Miranda is facing the wall at the exit of Ascari. Not where you want to be. But it looks like he's going to get it moving once he gets back over onto the track. There we go. And keeps his race going. Jeff Spangler still under pressure here by Ross Sparrow. Marc-Andre Melancon starting to catch up to this. We've got some updates in the chat from Matty Matt, the one, the only Matt Byrne. Let's go Chen. We've also got a let's go Javi. And Shu Chen has had a rough race, but he is trying to piece it back together right now. Well, we have a bit of a pack beginning to develop behind Matthias Martinez here. Kenneth Smith, Chris Rise, and Evan Toth, all battling it out for 12th place. Ooh, let's take a look back at Ryan Garrity, though. Starting to close up the gap to Jose Este and the Ferrari in front of him. Or excuse me, that's a Porsche in front of him. And I just am tired. Ooh, a little bit of netcode there. Ryan Garrity driving his car in ways that physics can't explain. Ooh, but goes for a pass on Lesmo 2. And is unable to make it stick. Yellow flag for Evan Toth. Ooh, and he is spun around at the exit of Ascari. Ferrari may have just gotten away from him a little bit there, but it looks like he's not going to collect anybody in that incident. Ooh, and number 912 picks up a penalty for track limits. Who is that? Looking for the car numbers here. Don't quite have them all memorized yet. That is going to be, ooh, that's a name I can't pronounce. I'm very sorry. But to the number 912 car, if you watch the stream afterwards, Arnav, please reach out to me in the Discord and I will get your name right by the next stream. Here we go now, Ross Barrow and Jeff Spangler into Parabolica now. It looks like doesn't really yield an advantage to either one of them. So let's hop back in the grid just a little bit. Austin Carpenter and Stubby McNubby getting very close to one another as well. In the Convicts and Colonials Porsche. And a little bit of love from the chat. Let's go Moose from Melon Pitch. Got another yellow flag at the exit of Ascari and is going to have it towed back to the pits as the number 912 car, it looks like. Oh, there we go. Nope, that's just another incident at Ascari. That is why it is lovingly known as El Scurry, because man, it can ruin a race. Doesn't take much. Let's take a look at Gibran Stadia here in the Nissan GTR, getting chased down by a McLaren going around Parabolica. McLaren overcooks it, and that is going to let the number 29 car get a clean break down the straight. Rocking a Gran Turismo skin. You love to see a little nostalgia there. Xu Chen setting the new fastest lap, and it is actually a new fastest lap this time with a 148.137. And for those of you who missed it, I think he set the same fastest lap like 3 times earlier. I'll have to look at the replay to tell you for sure. Insanely consistent, that man. Take a look at this up by Jeff Spangler. A 3-car battle for 7th place is beginning to emerge. Ross Sparrow closing down the gap, and Marc-Andre Melencon starting to catch up to the 2 of them. They're sort of reeling in Ben Burchett there, we can see in the green Lexus. Just 2 seconds in front of Jeff Spangler. Good job, cameras. Caught the cameraman sleeping. It's looking like at this point we now have crossed into the final 5 minutes of this race. So let's go ahead and take a look through the grid here. Race leader Skylar Loverink pretty much running uncontested at this point, has a 10-second gap to Jean Casagina. However, you might see in the background there, a certain orange and black Lamborghini may have another shot at trying to unlap himself from Skylar Loverink. Although he would have to do it 3 times to be on the same lap, but hey, 1 lap closer is always, you know, it's a little better. But Jean Casagina about 10 seconds back in 2nd place. Gage Gonzalez also pretty safe in 3rd place. Daniel Good in P4, making his way down the back straight into Parabolica. We've also got James Morris in P5, Ben Burchett in P6. And this is where the battle is beginning to emerge here. Jeff Spangler has caught up to him for P7, followed by Ross Sparrow in P8 and Marc-Andre Melencon in P9. Domenico Bilotti just a little bit farther back, just at the entry of Parabolica as the other cars are exiting it. Santiago Pena In P11, Kenneth Smith. In P12, Matthias Martinez. In P13, Chris Rise. In P14, Nico Rashkash. In P15, Evan Toth. In P16, Jose Este. In P17, Ryan Garrity. Under some pressure here. In P18, Luis Valdez. P19, looking to get another position on the board here and start where he finished, or finish where he started this race, excuse me. And last in the points here, Gibran Stadier in P20. Let's take a look at this battle for 6th place by Ben Burchett. Stubby McNubby here, lapped traffic, going to be in the middle of this battle for position. Not somewhere you want to be here this late into the race. Ross Sparrow starting to close down that gap, now inside of 3/10 of Jeff Spangler. And Marc-Andre Melancon right behind him. Xu Chen setting another fastest lap of the race there. Ross Sparrow really pushing with everything that he can get out of that Audi, trying to chase down Marc-Andre Melancon. 3/10 separate the two. And they are starting what is probably going to be the second to final lap for these two. Oh, and we've got a Ferrari turned the wrong way around. That's the number 234 car. That's gonna be Jade Russell. Ooh, we gotta be careful trying to get back on track. That way you can get DQ'd for driving the wrong way, but it looks like they're lucky today. Jade Russell back out on the track now. And Skylar Loverink's going to start the final lap of this race right there. There we go. And we are now on the final lap. Ooh, yellow flag on Stubby McNubby. Oh, that is a very damaged Aston Martin there. Uh-oh. Right there in Ascari. And it is living up to its El Scurry name. If ever there was a time to just get the car back on track and finish the race, it is now. Jeff Spangler closing the gap down to Ben Burchett, looking to gain one more position on the final lap of this race as we watch the timer clock down to its final second. Ooh, and it is a traffic jam in turn one there. Jeff Spangler tries to make a lunge to get on Ben Burchett. And they will end up more or less. Ooh, that's a number 137 car on the outside there. That's a lapped car. Not for position, so now the battle is between Marc-Andre Melancon and Ross Sparrow. Oh, this could be messy. Looks like the Audis get through pretty much undisturbed there in their battle. Skylar Loverink exiting Ascari right now. And we'll bring him over to the big screen. Here we go. As for the first race of Season 12. Skylar Leverink will cross the line in first place. In a very well-deserved first place finish, John Casacino will finish in second, right behind him, followed by Gage Gonzalez. That's going to be Andrew Sear just in front of him. Let's take a look between Marc-Andre Melancon and Jeff Spangler. Last opportunity to try and get around him. Does not look like it's going to happen. That'll be Ben Burchett in P6, Jeff Spangler P7, Marc-Andre Melancon in P8. And Ross Sparrow just behind them in P9, followed by Domenico Bellotti in P10. And let's take a look over at Skylar Leverink and the rest of the survivors doing donuts over in the first chicane there. What was a bloodbath of a first race. They're going to finish. They survived. We've got a couple more battles for position, though, here. Justin Jantz and Elliot Levine racing around Parabolica. It is going to be close here between the two of them. And Elliot Levine lunging out in front. Snags 23rd position at the final moment there. Not sure what happened, but he is going to finish that race out in front. And the remainder of the drivers teleporting back into the pits. So that is going to do it for us here for this race, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, my goodness. what a race that was. What a test of endurance for a 1 hour race that turned into. But my goodness, it is over. Race 1, Season 12 here at Monza has come to a close. To everybody who watched, thank you so much for joining me here. It was an exciting race. I think that's the word I'm going to go with for this one. It was a bloodbath, to be sure. For anybody who watched the race start, half the race, or half the grid taken out in turn 1, and that is almost immediately followed in lap 2 by another massive, like, 10-car incident. It was nuts. But thank you so much, everybody who has joined us. If you liked what you saw, hit that subscribe button. I try to throw a reminder out there about an hour before the race, so that everybody has ample opportunity to get in there and see the excitement that, you know, race 1 tends to be. But next race, race 2, we will be at Brands Hatch. My God, if we have another 41-car grid, that is going to be a race to see. So definitely hit that subscribe button, turn the notifications on, because that is a track with no room to pass, and with 41 cars, let's just say that qualifying is going to be high stakes. But that's going to do it for me this week. Thank you so much, everybody. Be sure to join us next week. As always, my name is Matt McAdams. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you here next week at Delta Racing League. Have a good weekend, everybody.